Chapter 24. Pickering in Newmarket. Not in Pickering. By the winter of 1988, Jen and I were preparing for the next chapter in our lives. While our time in Sandy Lake had been deeply rewarding, after 2 years we were ready to move on. Though Jen had kept herself occupied by teaching cooking classes, the isolation of life on reserve was beginning to take its toll. The long winters, the limited access to the outside world, and the lack of social opportunities made it clear it was time for a change. Jeanne had been accepted into teacher training at the University of Windsor. Set to begin in the fall, it was the perfect opportunity for her to transition back into city life, leaving behind the cabin fever that had slowly crept in. For me, the search for a new teaching position had already begun. It was a job hunt in a pre-internet world. Back in those days, before the internet and online job boards, finding teaching positions was a slow and frustrating process. Most jobs were tucked away in the classified sections of newspapers. The Globe and Mail had the most extensive listings, but getting access to them from a remote fly-in community was a challenge. Since there was no way for me to browse job ads in real time, I relied on friends back home to cut out newspaper clippings, stuff them in envelopes, and mail them to me. By the time they arrived, most of the deadlines had already passed. It was a constant race against time, one I was often losing. One afternoon, I decided to organize my desk. As I shuffled some paper, a small newspaper clipping fluttered to the floor. It was a Globe and Mail job ad for an art teacher position at a private residential school in Newmarket, Ontario. I had somehow overlooked it. But my excitement turned to disappointment as I checked the date. The posting was already a couple weeks old. Still, something about it intrigued me. On a whim, I picked up the phone and dialed the barely visible number. To my surprise, someone answered immediately and transferred me to the headmaster, Sheldon Clark. "The position is still open," he said. Just like that, I had an interview scheduled for the March break. "Bring an art portfolio," he added. Oddly, he seemed far less interested in my actual teaching credentials and more in my artistic abilities, which only added to my curiosity. Over the course of the next while, I received 2 offers and had to make one big decision. In the weeks leading up to the March break, another opportunity surfaced, this time a teaching position in Mississauga. The interview went well and I received an offer. Suddenly, I was faced with a decision that needed to be made quickly. With less than a week to weigh my options, I chose Pickering College. At first glance, the salary was lower than the public board. However, the perks were undeniable. On-campus housing, a fully furnished apartment included a dining hall with full kitchen staff providing 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, all free of charge for faculty and family. There were also small class sizes allowing for one-on-one instruction. When I did the math, the Pickering College offer was far more valuable than the higher salary in the public system. Despite the fast-paced environment, Pickering College had a welcoming, tight-knit atmosphere. Founded by Quakers, the school had a long-standing tradition of education without the elitist culture often associated with private institutions. The collegiality among faculty, the positive spirit, and the sense of community made it clear I had made the right choice. Looking back, my time at Pickering exceeded all expectations. I spent 25 years there, and without a doubt, it was the best career decision I ever made.